And we continue. So the topic for today is, should Thassa's Oracle and or Rhystic Study be banned in Commander? This is an interesting topic and one that holds a lot of opinions. But before we start, let me ask you something. What is the current ban philosophy of Commander? Because when I started thinking about it, I honestly wasn't sure anymore. So, back when Commander was still under the old rules committee, before WotC really got their hands on it, the ban list and its justifications were, well, a bit odd to say the least even then. But the philosophy back then could be summarized from this now WotC article, Commander Banned List and Philosophy Update, in which the rules committee states there might be some common threads among banned cards, but the primary reason cards get put on the list is that they challenge the positive experience we want to promote. And I wonder, is this still the philosophy or has it changed dramatically? Now, this was also in the past and we've had a lot of changes since then, things like the GameChangers list and the whole bracket thing, which in my opinion should affect how we approach Banned for Eternity versus a game changer topic, but I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So in this video I'll be talking about why cards get banned in general, using both 60 card format logic as well as Commander with some examples, and then I'll follow that up with more focused talk points centered around today's cards, Thassa's Oracle and Rhystic Study, and at the end I'll give you my opinion on what WotC should do when deciding whether to ban these cards or any other cards for that matter. And there's a reason why I want to go through all these hoops. Even though cards can in theory be banned just for feels, I believe it's better to always try to find some common ground between banning cards. But with all that said, in card games, cards are generally banned for 3 reasons: excessive power level, negative impact on the metagame diversity, and creating negative play experiences, also known as unfun. There are other reasons too, but these cover almost every ban. There are some fringe cases, but these 3 are the best examples of why cards get banned. All of these are pretty self-explanatory, and all appear in Commander to, some degree. So, excessive power level. When cards are banned for excessive power, they're strong. They warp the entire format around them. In 60 card formats there are plenty of examples of this, but I believe the best that speaks for every one of these is Oko, Thief of Crowns. Oh god. Ooh boy, I played when this was legal in everything, and now it's legal in almost nowhere. Good card. Good times. Now the thing is, in Commander, cards generally aren't banned for this reason. The only real power level ban that I can remember is Flash, and that was meant as a kind of a one-time freebie ban for CEDH, because the rules committee wanted the format to stay casual first. One could argue though that Minecrypt, Jeweled Lotus and Dockside Extortionist could fall into this category too, though, hey hold up, what is that art? Come on, it's not even a goblin! Ugh. Can we fix this somehow? Still not quite there. Ah, there we go. Anyway, granted those bans were before the bracket system, and some people want them back now that the Game Changers exists, but that's again a different topic. Number 2, negative impact on the metagame diversity. This means a card limits the number of viable decks, strategies or archetypes in the metagame, like for instance in 60 card formats we had Veil of Summer. During its time in Standard, it effectively yeeted every blue and black deck out of the format. In Commander, the best example of this kind of ban is Golos, Tireless Pilgrim. Golos was just, well, too good, in general kind of way. It kind of pushed every other 5-color commander out of consideration because you could just take Golos and kind of just build a better deck without the limitations of the commander's whatever things. Like for instance the 5-color Shrine Commander. You could have just ran Golos and it would have probably been fine. Anyway, this was kind of a controversial ban even back then, but okay, to be fair, every commander ban tends to be a bit controversial. Also hashtag free Golos. My mono red deck finally had ramp and a win con in the command zone. Ah, good times, good times. Definitely not anything wrong with Golos being one of the best mono-red commanders. Maybe I'm proving their point. Nah. Number 3, negative play experience, also known as unfun. Pretty easy to understand. This is a game. We played to have fun. Even if a card isn't necessarily, overpowered, it can still produce miserable, repetitive, or non-interactive games. You can think of in 60 card format Sensei's Divining Top and the Miracles deck. Oh, that was an experience, let me tell you. Ooh boy, that. You really gotta question when they top for the 4th time on your turn too. Do they even care what's on top of their deck, or are they just trying to play you out like, ugh. Good times. Now, I'd say that this is the biggest reason for bans in Commander. Though arguably not used enough, because we still let blue players play. Oops, did I say that out loud? I'll just edit it out. Now for examples. Paradox Engine with its meaningless loops. Or, maybe Leovold, the emissary of, hey, where did my hand go? I remember when both of these were legal. Miserable, soul-crushing experiences. For my friends. Sometimes I can still hear them begging for me to just win already. Oh, if only I had a win con. Outside of them, decking naturally. Best 6 hours of my life. Pretty sure they just left at one point. Good times. Anyway, I think there's also kind of a unique Commander ban logic of accessibility for cards that are too expensive, like the Moxen, but that's not really used anymore. But now, let's not forget, WotC has lessened the need for bans with the GameChanger system. Cards so powerful that they warp the game around them, but are still allowed in higher brackets. Both Thassa's Oracle and Rhystic Study fall under this category, but for now, let's look at them individually, starting off with Thassa's Oracle. So, Thassa's Oracle. It is a blue-blue creature merfolk wizard, a 1/3, but that's all kind of irrelevant. The important part is the effect. When Thassa's Oracle enters the battlefield, look at the top Axe cards of your library, where Axe is your devotion to blue. Put up to one of them on top of your library, and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. If Axe is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. And the funny thing is, if your library has 0 cards and this effect resolves, even if you have no blue devotion whatsoever, you still win the game. And this leads us to the kind of a main reason why Thassa's Oracle is being discussed for bans. It's its efficiency with cards like Demonic Consultation and Tainted Pact, both of which exile your library, and then you win the game with the Oracle's trigger. Sure, there are other 2-card combos that win the game on spot, but Thassa's Oracle is the most efficient due to its low mana cost, instant win, and easy setup. Now, since Thassa's Oracle's banning reason is kinda from a CEDH perspective primarily, let's look at it first from a CEDH perspective and then return back to the casual perspective. So, from a CEDH perspective, it's undeniably powerful, and sure, it's arguably the best combo in the format. It's also a tad hard to interactive, depend which colors you're playing, and its setup is relatively easy. So yeah, I believe a power level ban could be justifiable from a CEDH perspective. As for the metagame diversity, that really doesn't apply here. Blue was already the best color, even if we banned Thassa's Oracle, it's still gonna be the best color in CEDH. The unfun also doesn't really apply that much in CEDH, and it's honestly just wins. It just wins. It wins clearly, it doesn't lock everyone for a 4-hour CEDH game or anything like that. So I can't see kind of an unfun for CEDH anyway. But, maybe there's a case for a power level ban, if we are banning for CEDH reasons. Now, from a casual perspective, it's basically harmless. As a non-combo piece, it does probably nothing. And even when it wins, and if it's like someone milled their entire deck on turn 8 with their Muldrotha deck, like, congrats man, I think you earned it. I also believe that a noob will probably not jump into a Thoracle combo, and the bracket system already kinda discourages such combos anyway, so Again, I kind of feel like there are way too many 2-card combos to name, and I believe that the bracket system pushes these combos away from the lower power levels. Maybe Thassa's Oracle is hated because it's kind of an easy win, or it's seen everywhere. I don't know, I personally don't have a problem with the card, so I don't really see a problem. So, in my conclusion, I believe Thassa's Oracle can be banned for power level reasons, however, only if we make bans for CEDH. Now this topic could be its own video all on its own, so I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Now, I like CEDH. I have no interest in tournaments, but it is really fun to play occasionally. So yes, I'm the worst kind of CEDH player. A casual CEDH player. Which kinda sounds weird when I say it out loud, but you know, we exist. Anyway, I believe what I was about to say is that I don't think we should ban cards for CEDH. And here's why. I want CEDH and Commander to remain the same format. There's arguments for both and against it, but I believe that they should remain the same. But every time a ban happens for CEDH reasons, it's that harder always to justify keeping them unified. You know, even in Flash was fine in casual, but it was banned for CEDH reasons, and every time we ban cards, you know, more and more cards for CEDH, I feel that it kind of puts a wedge and drives Commander and CEDH slightly further apart from each other. And the second reason I have is that I don't think ultimately banning Thassa's Oracle fixes, you know, CEDH. I think some other combo will rise, and there already is other fast combos, like multiple combos with Underworld Breach and so forth. But I'm willing to admit that even though I like CEDH, I can't give you a professional opinion on this, and as I've looked into this, there were both voices for its ban and for not its ban, but at least for me, the article from Harvey McGuinness from EDH Rec probably, you know, caught my feelings the most, which if you have interest in the topic, I'll link it in the description. The article led me to believe that banning Oracle might remove one big problem, but you know, it doesn't fix its balance or interactivity issues. But you know, feel free to disagree or agree, and tell me why I'm wrong right on this. Again, not a professional CEDH player or anything like that, it's fun on occasion, and you know, here we are. Now for the Rhystic Study. So, Rhystic Study, a 2 and a blue for an enchantment that says, whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. The origin of the infamous "do you pay the 1" line. That line doesn't work on chicks, by the way. I've tried. And moving right along. Rhystic Study is powerful. On average, it draws somewhere between like 7 to 10 cards if you play it on turn 3, and you know, nobody plays really around it or anything like that. But I think it is important to note that there are similar cards that are, well, at least in my opinion, either as powerful or even more powerful than Rhystic Study. And it's, you know, one of them isn't not really even a game changer, so one card I'm thinking of in particular is Necropotence. It's a triple black spell enchantment, skip your draw step. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard, and then, you know, pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library face down, put that card into your hand at the beginning of your next end step. Wow. Now, feel free to argue that Rhystic Study is more powerful than Necropotence, but I don't believe that's the case. I believe that the only thing that Rhystic Study has going for it against Necropotence is the fact that it's easier to splash because its mana cost, you know, doesn't have a triple blue in it. But even then we have, you know, the One Ring, which can go literally into any deck, and it also gives you protection for 1 turn on top of, you know, drawing you so many cards that you probably don't need it that many to win. Not to again mention, but we also have Trouble in Pairs, which it's not even a game changer. It has a bunch of text on it, but the simple version is that if your opponent sneezes, looks at you, breathes, or anything like that, you draw a card. Like, how is this not a game changer? Again, a different topic, I guess. Now, in my opinion, the cards I've just listed are either more powerful or at the very least on a similar power level, but they're not even being discussed here, so I don't think a power level ban is technically justified, but you know, feel free to disagree. I also kind of find it hard to believe that it would hurt the meta game, as Casual Commander doesn't really have one, and CEDH has way far worse offenders in my opinion, so that leaves the unfun reason. And yeah, I get it. People really hate paying the one. It slows them down. But they also hate it when someone else doesn't pay and lets the Rhystic player draw for free. It's a lose-lose situation for the feelings. It's kind of a social issue disguised as a card design issue, if that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, those are words and they form a sentence. Yeah, let's go with that. And just say, Charles, I'm looking at you. Stop casting your random Suntail Hawks in the Rhystic Study. At least for the love of God, pay the goddamn 1 mana, you sick bastard. You are the reason this debate exists. But yeah, personally, it doesn't bother me that much, you know. I find cards like Granite Magistrate or Winter Orb far more annoying than Rhystic Study, but that's besides the point. So while I wouldn't ban Rhystic Study for being unfun, I can definitely understand why others would. And as a kind of a last point in this discussion, let's talk about the Game Changers list. Some argue that the Game Changers list should be enough and maybe even replace the banned list entirely. There's some truth to that, but not all Game Changers are equal. For instance, if you are building a blue deck for bracket 3, Rhystic Study is almost always one of your 3 picks. It's honestly just that much more powerful than the other Game Changers, and it is game warping even on a Game Changer scale. And there are cards that, even as Game Changers, would really create an annoying and unhealthy game environments, like Leovold the Emissary of, oh my god, just please don't cast a wheel again. So yeah, it's not perfect in my opinion, but I still think we should rely more on the Game Changers list in pickup games. In your kitchen table games, you know, do whatever your playgroup wants. Except that one thing. Yeah, that was weird. You should probably talk a professional about it. Oh wait, that was me. So as kind of an ultimate conclusion, I can see Thassa's Oracle being banned if bans are made for CEDH reasons, but I think it's fine and casual. Rhystic Study could be banned for unfun reasons, but I'd personally disagree with that a bit. And rather than ban these cards, I think Gavin and the Commander panel should focus more on clarifying why cards are banned, especially now that we have the Game Changers and the brackets, and I think that would make bans feel more consistent and transparent. Because as crazy as this might sound, there are people who like playing with these cards, there are entire Blake groups that like playing with these cards. So, you know, rather than working on the let's ban every problematic card based on the loudest opinion on the internet, I would rather we first let's aim for clarity on why cards are banned in this Game Changer world. And once we've clarified everything, if they are still, you know, extremely problematic, unfun, your uncle, whatever, then sure, let's ban them. But first, you know, again, clarity first. But those are more or less my thoughts on the topic. I always feel a bit odd when talking about bans that barely affect me. As I, you know, barely play with these cards, I honestly don't think I play Oracle in any deck at all. But I think that a card has to be truly backbreakingly awful to be banned. The only time in my life I really can think that I've emotionally wanted a card banned was when I played against a rando and they played a Winter Orb on turn 1. And everyone else had artifact mana except me, and I was reconsidering every life choice that led to this moment. And the justification for playing the Winter Orb was that it wasn't a stacks deck. Winter Orb is the only card like this in this deck. And, you know, sure, he really didn't seem to care that I just sat there for 40 minutes as other players played the game. You know, good times, good times. So I feel that there are cards that are way more fun than Rhystic Study, but fun is a subjective term, so, you know, feel free to disagree. With that said, thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see some of you next week when I'll be talking about something more fun, like the Avatar set or something. Anyway, on to the next one.